Max, that's your return to action after a little while on the sideline, and what a return. That's a hell of a result.
Yeah, I think we're definitely pleased with that. First half was pretty tough into the wind, managed to control that pretty well, and then second half I think we really showed what we're about and the way we want to attack going forward.
Just intensity-wise, that second half seemed so much better.
Yeah, I think it's tough as well with the conditions. We had to play the way we did in the first half, just through our own downfall really. Whereas in the second half, I think we controlled the game a lot more, kicked when we needed to, and just backed our attack, kept hold of the ball as well, which was good.
How good is it to play in that kind of free-flowing attack? You obviously look like you're really enjoying it out there, but it's just going from side to side, just constant options, and we reap the rewards. I think it was 10 or 11 tries in the end. Yeah,
I think, like I said before, I think we just need to stay patient. If we back ourselves to keep hold of the ball, and when we do, we end up scoring tries and finishing things. It also helps, obviously, having the pack that we do. They normally get us going forward in the set piece, so we're really pleased with that. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that we seem to keep doing at the moment is kind of pulling away from teams. Is that a kind of note to how fit the side are this season? As I say, it's just every second half we seem to be pulling away, and it seems like teams can't quite kind of keep up with us, if you like.
Yeah. I think people see the score and they think that we're sort of running over teams, and it may look that way, but obviously at the moment, first half, teams are really sticking in there and fronting up. It's like Cov away last week, it was 12-all, and today we were 28-14 as well. So we know that we're not going to walk over any team really in this league, but it's important that we stay in the fight and make sure that we push on for 80 and not 20, 40, 60.
That's over 30 tries now in the first 4 games. I know we don't want to get carried away, but it would be rude not to acknowledge 4 bonus point wins out of 4. It literally couldn't get any better than that.
Yeah, we're where we want to be right now. We're top of the league, but also we're fully aware we've got a big block coming up. We've got Pirates to play away and Sarries away as well, which are probably 2 of the toughest ones in the league. So we're mindful of that, but we're really looking forward to them as well.
Just for you as well, man of the match to come back in as well, must be really buzzing with that, and the performance as well, 2 tries.
Yeah, I am. A little bit rusty maybe towards the in the first half, but I was just glad to get back out there and slot into a team that's going really well at the moment.
Glen, another huge victory today. This season just keeps getting better. You must be delighted with that.
Yeah, pretty special to be able to score 75 points. More so with the response from last week, really. We weren't particularly happy with our first half performance last week against Coventry, and then today to obviously come back from that and score 75 points against a pretty tough Hartpury side as well. We always know that they throw everything at you and a quite resilient team. So and they kept playing to the end there. I mean, it got a little bit shaky. They were chasing that 4th try at the end and they never gave in. So they didn't make it easy for us, but obviously very pleased to rack up that many points.
Yeah, points aside, which I know is a huge part of that result, which was fantastic, but what was the most pleasing part of that performance, do you think?
Well, I think the way probably we came out in the second half and implemented what we spoke about at half-time. We weren't particularly happy with some of the stuff in the first half. We spoke about being quite direct. We spoke about trying to get the breakdown quick so we can play on top. And in the first half, we probably didn't really do that, or didn't really do it to the standard that we expect from ourselves. And we spoke about that at half-time as a group. And I think the way we came out and expressed ourselves in the second half and implemented the sort of points that we discussed at half-time was probably the most pleasing part.
You mentioned there about the way that we came out in the second half. Midway through towards the end of the first half, we went from 21-14 ahead to something like 75-14. What changed from that period? Was it the intensity? Because it just, I mean, the attack as well was phenomenal.
Yeah, well, I think we had loads of energy. I think we just went back to doing the basics really well. You know, we spoke about playing in the right areas of the pitch. I think the second half we had the wind behind us. We knew first half we were going to have to play into that. It was going to be difficult to get out of our half. And then the second half we spoke about using those conditions well and playing in the right area. And I thought we exited well, and then we really got excited when we got higher up the pitch with ball in hand. I thought the speed of it, it's a pretty simple game. If you can get the breakdown quick, then you can play on top of teams. And I thought that we had weapons all over the park in terms of we scored some nice, couple of nice more tries. Max goes through clean off the kick-off, which was great to see him back in full flow after being out injured for quite a while. And I think we had sort of quite a lot of different ways to score, which was quite exciting and quite pleasing to see.
Yeah, it's an obvious thing to say when we're scoring so many tries, but we actually seem quite clinical at the moment. We seem to be scoring with most of the chances that we're creating, which must be very pleasing.
Yeah, and you know, we sort of said about trying to be ruthless and not taking off the gas at any point, and that's probably another thing that was quite pleasing in the whole game. Even though conceding that last try at the end was, I suppose, being a defence coach and that, you never want to concede any tries, but like they keeping it to 19, you know, keeping the scores quite low over the sort of this 4-week block on the whole has been pretty pleasing as well. And then having the ball in hand and just basically really sort of trying to play a power game. We've trained at such intensity for such a long period of time now. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to experience, or hopefully we're never going to experience, this length of pre-season that we just did ever again. And I think we've been, you know, fortunate enough to be able to train throughout that whole period and then implement that intensity because we're used to training and playing at that intensity. And I think that allows us to go up through the gears in the games.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, we are starting to get some headlines with those scores. That's over 50 in all of the first 4 matches. Again, I guess we don't want to get carried away, but this is a fantastic start to the season, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we know now that this has been a great 4-week block for us, and we're really pleased with how we've gone. We just spoke in the huddle then about there's still some areas that we need to tidy up, and there's still areas which we can get better at, and I think that shows where the group is at, that they've still got that desire to improve. They know that they can't just rest on their laurels, so to speak, and that's great to see the sort of leadership within the group's taking charge now with that. And we know that this block that we're about to go into, luckily we've got a week off next week with no game, but then we've got some pretty big intense games coming up that we know we're going to have to be at our very best. But this 4-week block has hopefully helped springboard us into the next block.
With such a the squad has got so much depth at the moment. You're able to kind of bring the bench on after 45, 50 minutes, and they can see out the rest of the game. How good is it to just be able to just literally bring like-for-like players, and just lads can play 50 minutes and put their feet up, and it's not so they're not going 80 minutes all week.
Well, yeah, exactly. And when we spoke about it, you know, I think the way the game's going now, the modern game is a 23-man game. And you hear about people talk about finishers a lot and that, and it is like for us, like we said, right, well, if we can go at an intensity where we don't drop off, and that's what we want. And we know after 50 minutes, if the boys have gone out there and they've really emptied themselves, and you've got strength and depth and quality on the bench, then you bring that on and you use it, and you don't wait for someone to drop off a cliff, so to speak, in terms of their energy. You maintain that pace and that intensity for the game, and I think using the bench the way we have done over the last 3 or 4 weeks has really helped us keep the game going, keep the intensity high, and then probably reflection and of how we managed to keep the scoreboard ticking.
Yeah, and just finally, you've already mentioned it, but I guess there's no shying away from the fact that these next 3 weeks or so will probably shape our season, won't they? Cornish Pirates, Jersey, Saracens, 3 great challenges. But after these 4 weeks, how much are we looking forward to them?
Oh yeah, I think the players are, well, they're excited. I think they've enjoyed these wins, and they'll enjoy a little bit of rest probably this week. But yeah, they're all, I think as a player, you want to play in the games that really test you and challenge you, and we know all about Cornish Pirates. We've been down there last year, and we know how much that hurt, and I think a lot of the boys that are currently in the squad experienced that last year, and I think they're obviously pretty excited to try and right a few wrongs there, so to speak. And I think as a player, you want to be involved in the big games, and we know that going down there is certainly not going to be easy. We know that going to Saracens is not going to be easy, and we know the amount of big battles we've had with Jersey over the years as well. So it's exciting times, but they're the sort of challenges that we want to experience.